And we're back on the air. This is The World of Work, and I'm your host, Shep Cohen. And we're speaking this afternoon with Diane Rose, who is a healer. She is a certified body worker and a massage therapist, amongst other things. And joining us in the studio is her friend Lucille, who started as a client-patient of hers and has joined us in the conversation, the first part of our show, and we're going to have her discuss some things in the second part of the show. Before we speak to Lucille, I just want to ask you, Diane, when someone comes in for a session with you, do they look any different when they leave? And if so, how?
Oh, most definitely. Most people come in and they're pretty run down. They're tired. A lot of times they come in for stress. They come in on any level again. And they look white. They're pale. Once I either treat them on my table, traditionally with massage oils, or on my mat, the shiatsu practitioner's mat, when they go to get up, it's totally different, full of life. They're relaxed. They literally say they have to sit down for a while before getting up to even driving their car. They quite don't have their feet on the ground. All right.
So you mentioned some of the tools of the trade. You mentioned the mat and the oils. Tell us about the oils. What type of oils do you use?
I make them myself. They're all organic. Everything in my office is organic.
Any other tools of the trade?
Just my hands. Just my hands.
Lucille, you mentioned your start. You're the one who coined the phrase, the dinner and the show. How have you gone? Have you sent others to see Diane Rose?
Yes, I have.
And why?
My entire family has gone for different reasons, and I even have brought my children in. I think children, I have two teenagers, I think, they have a very high level of anxiety, children nowadays, and when you bring them to Diane, she can massage them and talk to them and make them feel at ease, and in so many ways it helps with their self-esteem, believe it or not, because they have somebody telling them, listen, you might not be at your full game yet, but when you're 21, your phone's going to be ringing off the hook, and you're going to have tons of friends, and your life is going to be just exploding in happiness. And when a 13-year-old hears something like that, it gives them just more self-awareness and a better level of self-confidence, in the sense that you have an adult who's really cool. Everybody knows how cool she is, and it's really special when you go in there. But I have sent many friends and have gone in with them.
And you've also taken notes when you're in there with them. Why would you do something like that, and why would they want you to do that?
Because there's so much information that comes across, and you can't absorb it all while she's telling you, and then be able to go back and think about what she said. So very confidentially, I'll go in, I'll have a notepad, and I'll just start writing. Whatever it is that she's talking about, I'll just write. And then, I think I've written up to 16, 20 pages.
In one session?
In one session.
How long is the session?
It could be anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay. And your son was not growing the way that you thought he should be growing. And how did Diane Rose help him?
She had him come in for a massage, and she said to me, when you were pregnant, they gave you adrenaline. And adrenaline and adrenals, they go hand in hand, and adrenals are responsible for growth. So she said, bring him in, and we'll give him some massage. And she massaged his adrenal glands, and the next doctor's visit for a height and weight check, he had grown 2 3/4 inches.
And Diane, how did that work? What is it that you did to help him? I understand what Lucille said, that you massaged his adrenal glands, but how did you know to do that, and why did it help?
Then we have to go back to in vitro. When the child was being constructed in vitro, if the adrenaline was given to the system, it threw him into overdrive, which was an imbalance. So his own adrenals started to shut down, therefore inhibiting his growth. So by the time I got to see him, I stimulated the adrenals to start to produce more of their own adrenaline or balance the system out. And hence, when he went back for his next visit, which, how much, was it a month, 2 months later?
3 months, actually.
And within 3 months, that's how much he had grown.
And by the way, during our break, we got a caller who wanted your telephone number. So if anyone else out there is listening, can you give the number if they want to reach you somehow?
Certainly. This is my Maplewood office in New Jersey. It's 973-762-2577, and the name of my business is Natural Balance. And I also have a New York Upper West Side office.
And for those of you who live, which is most of you listening, in this area near Surgeonsville, Maplewood is not too far right off of 78, so it's about an hour from the station. How about, I guess, Lucille, your brother was having some difficulties, and you sent him to Diane Rose. What type of problems, and what is it that you had hoped that she would help him with?
I hope that
And
she,
if you could pull the microphone
sure.
a little
How's
closer
this
to you.
better?
Better, yes.
I hope that she would be able to clarify some of his emotionality, how he dealt with people, how he dealt with a spouse, how he dealt with children, his own children. And when I brought him in there, it's very interesting because when you walked into the room, he was sitting on one side of the doorway and Diane was standing on the other side of the doorway. And she said the current in between the two of them was so strong that she couldn't step through to approach him. So she literally stood about 6 feet apart from him. And
let me just, the current was so strong, keeping you away from him or attracting you to him?
No, keeping me away.
Keep you away, okay,
Keeping him
okay.
away. This
So
is
he was reluctant to engage with you.
For your audience, to understand current,
Yes,
you
yes.
can walk into a room and all of a sudden go, wow, I really want to get to know that person. That person looks happy. You know, your sense is, I want to know that person. You go right over to that person. Hi, how you doing? You have a great rapport. Another times you can walk into a room and go, whoa, that person's having a bad day. I don't want to get to know that person. I feel very uneasy. This is what I mean, or I believe that Lucille is saying about a current. All right? You can feel current. You can feel if people are angry. You can feel if people are happy. You can see if people are in love. This is what I'm reading. It's a current. It's a sense. It's a vibration. It's a frequency. I read the frequency of light. That's color vibration in a face. I read the color and sound vibration.
And what about sound vibration? What does that mean?
The voice is a sound vibration.
Okay.
Some people have high voices. Some people have very low voices. Low voices are an indicator there's something up in the kidney. There's a kidney imbalance. High frequency voices, they're telling me that they have stomach issues. You have to be very in tuned. That's what I'm saying. Everybody can do what I do. Just have to be in tune to it. It's getting better into nature, being in sync with nature.
So you have an encyclopedia of experience in your mind then when you're seeing someone.
Most definitely. We all, as we're sitting in this room, we all know what anger is. We all know what happiness is, right? You can sense that in other people. You're not going to confuse it if you're looking at anyone else. That's what I do. When I feel intense, let's say anger, if I'm working on someone, I know that's not mine. I know it's the person across from me. If I'm getting happiness, then I know that person is a happy person. Their emotional state is literally, I'm a scanner, is going right through me.
And
I'm
yeah, what
assessing.
does that mean, you're a scanner? You scan their emotional state?
I emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and also physically. It doesn't happen across the board for everyone. It's a very individual thing. Person who's coming into my office and is having a lot of emotional upsetment, I'm zeroing in right on that. Just like if you go to have a blood test, your blood test is only good for the moment it's taken. It's no longer good after you walk out the door. It's a barometer for that moment in time. When someone is coming in, I'm reading the imbalances in them, the moment in time they're in my office.
And how do you distinguish between someone's emotional state and their spiritual state?
Well, spiritual state is more so your sole purpose while you're here. So you can definitely distinguish between that. Why I'm here, what am I supposed to do? And, you know, a lot of times when people come in with that, I always say, you've got a job to do and you better get on the stick and start doing it.
Lucille, your brother, there was a current which was keeping your brother away from Diane. Did that current break down at any point?
I think eventually it got lessened because he had so much emotional turmoil between his ex-wife, his new wife, his new children, his blood-related children, how he related to people in his office, how he related to us as a family. So when you start to unpack with her, or she starts to pinpoint and say, listen, you know, this is something that you need to resolve. You need to resolve the relationship with your daughter, and this is why. Or this is something that you need to resolve about your health. My brother has high blood pressure, so she didn't know that when I went in there. And she said, listen, you know, you have a problem with your digestion. You have a problem with your blood pressure. You need to adjust your diet accordingly. So I think that as he started to listen and unpack, you can feel everything kind of settle down a bit.
Did he have any interest in going to someone like Diane before you suggested it?
No.
How did you convince him?
I told him he had to go.
Is he a younger brother or older brother?
Older.
An older brother, and you still told me he had to go.
9 years older, as a matter of fact. Because I've seen the work, and I've seen how it's helped people, and I've seen how if I've taken 5 people in there, their story from her is 5 different stories. It's not like you walk in and she say, oh, you have a problem with your digestion, and then the next person comes in, oh, you have a problem. It's not that way. It's so specialized and so specific and so individualized that, you know, as a friend or a brother or sister, you want to help that person, and you know that it is beyond what any physician can do to help.
Why do you think that it's beyond what a physician can do?
Because you can go to a doctor and have 9,000 blood tests, and they can tell you all the same thing. Your D level's fine, your B is fine, but you may still have heartache, and a physician can't help you with heartache. But when you go and see Diane, if she pinpoints that, and then your heartache manifests, right, your emotionality manifests itself in different organs of your body. So if you have, like I had a lower back pain, and I'd never had the back pain in my life. So when someone tells you this is grief and I'm going to help you get through this grieving, and I know you're grieving because your mother isn't here, you're kind of like, okay, well, how the heck does she know that? And, oh, I've never had it before, so it's something emotionally that I must need to address. And she said to me when I walked in, make no mistake, there is no coincidence why you came in here today.
That's pretty much with all my clients. There is a reason why they're there. And a lot of doctors will say this. I've sliced them and diced them. I don't know what to do with them anymore. Here, Diane, here. See what you can do for them. Open them up.